Hi guys, this is a video where the questions on the second Constitution quiz will be read out loud. Please follow along and pause when you come to your question. Question number 1. Base your answer to the following question on the document below, meaning this picture here, and on your knowledge of social studies. So according to this picture, the principle of limited government, right, or the idea of limited government shows that which of these choices? So the question is asking us, what does limited government mean? A, government branches can limit each branch's power. B, national and federal government limits the state government's power. C, American people can control the government's power through the use of protest. Or D, President of the U.S. can limit the power of the American people. Question number 2. The picture above best describes which constitutional principle or idea based on the Constitution. Is it A, separation of powers, B, checks and balances, C, federalism, or D, popular sovereignty, POPSOV? Question number 3 involves this cartoon. The Constitution of the United States was considered an improvement over the Articles of Confederation because the Constitution changed the what? A, balance of power between the state and federal governments. B, the status of slavery. C, the civil rights of minorities. Or D, the number of Americans eligible to vote. Make sure you're looking at this picture, which shows a label that says federal government and a label that says states governments. Question number 4. Please look at this picture. Okay, so we have this one says the president, executive branch, courts, judicial branch, and Congress, legislative branch. The authors of the Constitution included the system of checks and balances to A, prevent any one branch of government from controlling the other two branches, B, to protect states against the power of the national government, C, to guarantee respect for the freedoms listed in the Bill of Rights, or D, protect the United States against foreign attacks. Make sure that your answer is reflecting information that is recorded within this picture. Question number 5. Which of the following constitutional principles does this chart represent? So we're looking for the idea that this chart is showing us. Does it show us A, limited government, B, the Bill of Rights, C, federalism, or D, the separation of powers? Question number 6, freedom. Which constitutional principle or idea guarantees freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, and the right to a fair trial? A, limited government, B, the Bill of Rights, C, federalism, or D, the separation of powers? Question number 7. Which of the following best describes the constitutional principle of popular sovereignty, or POPSOV? A, people living within the U.S. have the power to decide upon their leaders and laws during an election. B, government power is divided between the federal government and state governments. C, The people living within the United States are unable to limit the power of the government with the use of protest. Or D, 3 branches of government were created in order to prevent abuse of power. So take a look at the picture and make sure your answer reflects the picture shown. Question number 8, federalism. These are powers delegated or reserved for the national government, and these are powers that are reserved or given to the state government. Based on this Venn diagram, which statement best explains or illustrates the idea of federalism? A, the president has the power to veto or ignore future laws called bills. B, Congress is divided into 2 houses, both the Senate and the House of Representatives. C, the Supreme Court has the power to review laws. Or D, the government is split between the federal government and state governments. Make sure your answer reflects information from the Venn diagram. Here we have 2 pictures that say United States Senate and the House of Representatives. Question number 9. At the Constitutional Convention, which in my class we call the CONCON, the Great Compromise settled the dispute over which of these things. So the Great Compromise results in which of these answers? A, state representation within both parts of Congress, making the Senate and the House of Representatives. B, the issue of slavery. C, the presidential veto power. Or D, judicial review. Question number 10. We've seen this chart before. It says executive branch, judicial branch, and legislative branch, or the president, the court system, and Congress. Which statement below, which one of these, is an example of checks and balances between the branches? A, the president sends American troops on a peacekeeping mission in Europe. C, Congress passes a law regulating the sale of handguns. C, the Senate approves the president's choice for a Supreme Court judge. D, the governor of New York discusses important government issues with the president. So take a look. We're looking for something, an answer, that involves action between these branches. Question number 11. Based on this Venn diagram, which says these are the powers of the federal government, these are the powers of the state government, and these are the powers that are shared by both. Based on this information right here, identify one power that only state governments have and one power that only the federal government has. Please be specific. In order to receive credit for this, you must do both. You must do both to receive credit. Question number 12. This says United States Congress. This is the state of Louisiana. Louisiana has 2 senators and 6 representatives. How many Senate members does the state of Louisiana have in the U.S. Congress? Please be specific. This is not a trick question. Please answer specifically. And lastly, question number 13. This says U.S. House of Representatives. New Hampshire has 2 representatives. Louisiana has 6 representatives. Why does Louisiana have more representatives than New Hampshire in the House of Representatives? Please provide a specific reason why. Don't be confused by vocabulary. Please indicate exactly what you mean when you answer this question. When you are all done with your test, make sure you hit the submit button. Thank you.